All right. Well, I wasn't actually expecting to do a part three. I was kind of debating it, but since someone posted on part two and said waiting for the next part, I'm like, okay, fine, fine, fine. Well, the one part I'm kind of not so sure about that I wanted to, that I was contemplating talking about is what it's like when you actually get educated and when you have the basics. It's like, I know we go to college, we do all this crap just so that we have a certain level of skill that we can become competent and we can actually enter the business. And I guess some of that it kind of overlaps with the art careers videos, but when you have the basics, it's really only the beginning. Like, I've always kind of felt that when it comes to drawing, there's at least two sides to it. One of them is just being technically competent, and that means, being able to draw things that aren't screwed up. That's all it is. Everything like that falls under a large umbrella. Just things that aren't screwed up, not on purpose. I mean, like, sometimes you can screw things up on purpose. Like you can purposely deform things, and it is a stylistic choice. But that's what most people are. Well, that's what people most need at the very beginning, because art's just a medium. It's just like television's a medium, newspapers are a medium. The press is a medium. It's just a container. It's like a cup for holding a beverage, or a piece of toast for holding jam. It's just a container. It's a way of presenting ideas, a way of presenting information. And so all of this technique, all of this studying, all of this ass busting, it's all for the sake of getting a good container, so that you're working on the presentation. You're trying to be able to present some good ideas. And so let's just say, for instance, for argument's sake, that you woke up, bang, and you're you're skilled. You wake up, bang, you're skilled. You don't have any problems. All the technical problems are removed. That does. I mean, it does. There is an end to it. Like there is kind of a point at which you remove all the obstacles to people looking at your work, and now they're no longer thinking, the arm's kind of crooked, and this is happening and that's happening. It's like, when those obstacles are finally removed, you get those little moments, then you hit what I call the drawing slumps. You hit the situations where it's like, yeah, I focused so much on the technique that now I have no ideas. The cup is empty. There is nothing. I have the best cup ever, but I don't know what to fill it with. It's like if you're a photographer and you go out and you buy really good lenses and you learn all the necessary caveats about taking photography, and you figure out how to properly expose an image, how to take pictures of things without people's heads, trees coming out of behind people's heads. You learn all of that technical rigmarole, and at the end of the day, you still, in the end, you just what are you going to take a picture of? What are you going to convey? And it's not to say that as soon as you become technically proficient, as soon as you finish, this is what's waiting for you after you get that certain level. I mean, I'm still finding out new technical things, but I can kind of see the end of the road. I can see, it's when you're learning, there's kind of this law of diminishing returns, where something can only look so real up to the point where it's no longer about trying to make things look perfectly realistic. For a long time, I've always worked on my way of drawing in such a way that everything would look exactly the way I saw it. I was a realist, and I wouldn't try to push beyond that. I would try to get exactly what I was aiming for, and at the same time, I was trying not to make drawings that were worse than what was already there. But you get all that skill, and then you're constantly asking yourself the question, well, what will I draw? And there are still amazing things coming out, things that people are posting, amazing ideas, amazing concepts, and it's this wonderful kind of element of escapism, where it's like, yeah, this is something that I can enjoy. It's the ideas that I like now. You kind of have to learn to speak. You have to learn to you have to find your voice. You have to find proper, it's like, first you have to have good English, you have to have good grammar, Art is kind of a language. It's a medium, just as the spoken language is a medium. You learn to speak eloquently, but then what are you saying? What is your message? What are you giving to the public? Because as long as you're drawing for keeps, as long as you're drawing for, hopefully drawing for something that will last on for generations, what is that message that you leave with people? And so when you're drawing, it's not just trying to make things technically correct, because when you just have a ton of technique and you've got nothing else, no ideas, then you get very correct and very dead art. It doesn't make you feel anything. It's like whenever you go to MySpace or Facebook and people just take pictures of themselves, and they take pictures of escalators and just doors and stuff, and they post it up and they say, oh yeah, this is urban, and it's contemporary photography, and it's just really boring. I mean, photographs are perfectly realistic. So when you draw, I think, just when you hone your technique up to the point where you can draw photorealistically and consistently, and you can draw the thing in front of you, you just have a very good camera. You still have to know what to point it at, and what, you got to figure, you have to have ideas in your head, and these things do not come magically. At the very best, you become like a machinist. You become the person who can work in the canning factory. You become the person where, they can hire you to draw their ideas, and you can see their ideas through to fruition, and you're always going to be doing what someone else wants because you have no ideas of your own. And let's not talk about art for a bit. Let's talk about cooking, because I find that cooking is something that people understand. People know what good cooking is like, because it's food that looks good, that tastes good, that smells good, that sits well with you long after you've eaten it, that makes you want it again and again. That is, that's good cooking. And good art with the feeling and the right ingredients and the right composition and the right message is like good cooking. It's a lot of what I do. Like I do cook a lot of my own meals, and my mother, sometimes I go with my mother to the supermarket, to find ingredients to cook. And a lot of times she picks out ingredients and brings them home, and I see them sitting there on the kitchen counter. She prepares the vegetables, she skins them, and basically just peels off all the bad parts of the vegetables and washes it and cleans it, prepares it for me. The stove is basically my domain. And I have to figure out, well, how will I put these things together? And I look through my spice rack. Sometimes whenever we buy new spices and they come home, I always take the tops off and I smell them. I smell, what does that spice smell like? How does it make me feel? Is it kind of something that works well with sweet stuff? Is it kind of a sour smell? Is it salty, bitter? What do these spices work well with? When you're no longer thinking about technique and you're thinking about you're thinking about ideas and feelings and how you want to motivate people, it's very much like cooking. I will sample very, very minute amounts of a raw material. Not meat though. That's kind of dangerous. But I will at least smell it. And I will try to get a good idea of what the raw product was like. And I think to myself, this needs salt, or this needs that special, that sauce that we just picked up in the supermarket, or maybe it needs some basil, or you have to know what goes together well. So some of the ideas is not just sitting in a vacuum and you don't just magically come up with it. Sometimes that stuff's brought to you. Sometimes you have to go out and find it, and you have to test the ingredient. You have to taste it, and you have to know how it could be better. And that's what a lot of art for me is I look at my base ingredients. Sometimes I realize I'm missing something. I have to go back to the supermarket. I have to go on the internet. I have to go on images.google.com, or I have to go to Picasa, or to Corbis, or sometimes I just do image searches, and I got to look for something that incites me, something that excites me and interests me, and will go well with what I already have. The ideas are not formed in a vacuum. Well, they can be. Just pattern generation, can be formed in a vacuum. But outside of that, you have to be influenced by other people. That's one of the things that struck me recently when I looked at this one girl's artwork. It was really, really amazing, and I was wondering, like a lot of the elements that she was putting in there, it's like, why would you ever put a skull in there? Why would you put a carved carnival horse from a merry-go-round in there? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? And it's like these are like completely random things, but you know what? They look really fucking good. they look really good. It works well. It sets the tone. Some of the stuff. After a while, I kind of figured it's like, hey, you know what, this girl. It's like when her work reminds me of like BioShock Infinite. It reminds me of like Civil War. Sometimes you see, like various propaganda movements or art movements, and these people have been influenced by that. And it's not just sitting down and trying to copy what it is that they've done. I don't want to just copy. Oh crap! I gotta record another one. Hang on.